about going gray? Stay tuned because we're going to talk about what you need to know before you decide to go gray. Hey, welcome to my channel. My whole goal here is to help you feel confident in your style and kind of achieve that ageless style that we're all trying to get to in our 40s and 50s and beyond. So one of the things that I get asked so much about is, should I go gray? Should I go gray? Is it time? Should I go gray? I see all these women on Instagram and on Pinterest with beautiful silvery hair color looking striking and dramatic, and I want that. Like, should I do that? Should I do that? Is it time? Am I ready? So I'm here to help you talk and walk you through the process of deciding whether or not this is for you, deciding whether or not this is a good time for you to transition your hair from whatever color you currently have to gray hair. So there are things to think about and things that you'll need to know to make the right decision for you. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to dive right in. Very first thing I want to point out is that gray takes time. A lot of times, one of the reasons we want to go gray is because we're spending so much time getting our hair colored. Maybe you go every 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks, and it's expensive and it's time consuming. It's all the things, right? And so we forget that going gray also takes time, especially if you're transitioning your hair from this to silver. So really what you want to ask yourself is, how much time are you willing to invest in the process and kind of how you want that process to look? Because there are a couple of different ways to transition to gray. First of all, ask yourself, how much gray do you currently have? My stylist recommends waiting until you've got about 80% gray in your hair in order to transition your hair to gray. I probably have 20 to 30%, and it's right here. So you want to wait till you've got a significant amount of gray if you want to ease the transition a little bit. Another thing to think about is whether or not you want to go cold turkey and let your hair grow out without doing anything in the meantime. So you're not going to do any touch-up color, or you're not going to do any of that, or whether you want to do one of the transitional techniques that I'm going to talk about. In general, it takes about 2 years for your hair to go from here to here with the gray. So if you've got gray roots and you let it grow, it's going to take about 2 years to get it to chin length. So what a lot of women end up doing is they'll grow it out and then they'll chop it off so that they're cutting off all the darker ends. So that's one thing to think about. It's going to take time. In general, you're looking at 1 to 2 years to transition your hair. If your hair is lighter, you're going to be on the shorter end. If your hair is longer, you're going to be on the longer end of this process, of this time frame that it's going to take you to transition. And then you want to talk, okay, if you're not going to go cold turkey, what are your options? So option number 2 is really coloring your hair gray. You can just decide, I'm just going to color it gray and I'm just going to go all in and just do it dramatically. This works better on people with lighter hair colors. If your hair is not that light, if you've got a long way to go if your hair is as dark as mine. So this really kind of works better on lighter hair colors. It's really, really kind of hard to do this without really damaging and stripping your hair when your hair is darker. So, but that is one option to look at and to discuss with your stylist, whether you want to color your hair gray to make that transition just kind of an overnight process, sort of. One of the things that you can do to go fast is if you're going to color your hair gray, you're going to need to remove the color that's already in your hair. So if you've been coloring your hair, that's going to have to be stripped. Then they're going to do, coloring it, highlights, lowlights, whatever they're going to do. And then they're probably going to end up shaping your hair to kind of suit your new color. So it's an expensive and time-consuming process. Apparently there's a stylist in California that says, he can do it in 8 hours, which 8 hours sounds like a long time, but it beats 2 years, right? So he can do it in 8 hours, but it's a very expensive and time-consuming process. The third option is to do something transitional. And this is what most women decide to do. You have to decide where your comfort level is. Are you comfortable going around with the roots being really obvious? Or do you want to go all in on the gray and you decide you really, really want to color it? Or do you just kind of want to go gradually into the gray and kind of see how you feel along the way? So keep in mind that gray takes time. It's not an overnight process. You've got to be committed. You've got to be all in if you're going to be brave, kind of push through the initial, especially 6 months where it just is going to feel a little off to you. Okay, the next thing I want to say is that gray takes money. So I alluded to that in the last step. If you're not going cold turkey, if you're coloring your hair and going all in on gray, or you're doing some sort of transitional hair color process, gray takes money. So you want to keep that in mind. It's a lot of time in a salon if you're going to do one of these transitional treatments. So let's talk about what a stylist can do to help you transition to gray more easily. Highlights, lowlights, balayage, those are all techniques that stylists use to kind of help blend the gray roots in with your regular hair color. So balayage is lightening the roots, or lightening the ends so that, you're not having just white here, dark here, white. So again, balayage is something that's going to help blondes or lighter, ashier brown haired women transition a little bit more easily than it is for somebody with darker hair like me, but balayage can definitely be one of the techniques. Combining highlights and lowlights to blend the gray through your hair so that you have, it looks more dimensional and it's not just a strip across the top of your head. That's one of the techniques that stylists use. Sometimes they'll use highlights and lowlights. Sometimes they'll use one or the other. Really depends on the color of your hair. One popular technique is called color correction. So color correction is typically when someone's made a mistake with your color and they've got to fix it. Well, instead of color correcting your hair to get it back to its natural original color, you're going to color correct your hair so that your hair looks more like your roots. The rest of your hair looks more like your roots. So they're going to color the length of your hair so that it blends with your roots a lot better. So that could mean taking your hair color up a couple of levels. It could mean weaving some silver pieces through. There's just a lot of different ways that they can color correct your hair. And that's going to depend on what you and your stylist decide you want to do. So it will end up looking more highlighted and not like the original color. Highlights and lowlights combined can create a salt and pepper look. If you've got the pepper in your hair, they can use highlights and lowlights to kind of create that salt and pepper look, and again, really help you transition a lot more gracefully. So if you like that salt and pepper look, ask your stylist about how you can start achieving that a little earlier in the process and kind of make the transition a little less painful. There's something called a grombre. Ombre was a thing. Now it's grombre. So basically, you're shading your hair so that you've got the lightest and whitest and grayest at the top, and then darker as it goes down. Again, this is going to work better on people with medium to lighter hair. Let's just say that all of this works better on your hair if your hair is medium to lighter in color, and it's a lot harder on those of us with darker hair color, except for salt and pepper. But everything else is easier if your hair is lighter because it's less of a dramatic transition, right? So, but it's really trendy if you want to look up on Instagram what grombre looks like. But it's really an ombre look with silver to a lighter color. So balayage, like I said, can also kind of create the lighter color at the ends and help you transition your hair a little bit more, make the line a little bit less dramatic. If your hair is curly, embrace the curl. This is the time to embrace the curl. Go all in on the curl because you're going to see a much less dramatic difference in your hair because you're not having that line where you could just really see where the hair goes out. If I was growing my hair out, I would just mix up I would not part my hair down the middle. I would kind of fluff it all back, or maybe I would do a side part and get teased by millennials, whatever. But I would do something different with my hair so that you just could not see all the roots, and you can really kind of mix it up with your hair a little bit when your hair is curly. Straight hair, you're going to see that line. It's going to be a lot more dramatic. Of course. There's also something called the dye strip technique, which from what I understand is you keep the top of your hair colored, but underneath you let it go gray. So there are so many different ideas and techniques for really helping you kind of get that transition to gray hair and make it a little bit more successful and a little bit more seamless. While you're going through the process, purple shampoo, again, works better on medium to light hair colors. Purple shampoos, and I have a lot of them in the description box in my catalog with lots of gray hair products, but it can really ease the transition. It kind of gets, it brightens the silver in your hair, and it gets rid of that brassiness and the yellow that you might be feeling in your hair. So definitely consider a purple shampoo if you're going through this transition process. So that was my second point and my longest one. Gray takes money, right? Gray takes time, gray takes money. The third one is gray makes you look older. Let's face it, gray makes you look older. Most 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds don't have gray hair. So yes, we see women who they look stunning in gray hair, and they look like they should have been born with gray hair. Like they wear it so well. It's dramatic, it's elegant, it's striking, it's beautiful on them. Most women are going to be aged a little bit by gray hair. So you're going to have to think about how that makes you feel. Like, is that something you're comfortable with? Do you like, are you okay embracing your age and saying, I don't care that people know I'm 65 or 70 or 55 or whatever. I'm just going to go all in on this gray hair. I like it. I've got the confidence to rock it. And then that's totally fine. But just know that gray hair is not going to make you look more youthful. So if your goal is to look more youthful, chances are you're going to want to continue coloring your hair. So that's something that only you can decide. There's no right or wrong answer to that. Again, a lot of women look amazing with it. And some women, a few women, actually look really cool and youthful with gray hair. But for most women, it's going to make us look a little bit older. So you want to decide if that's for you or if that's not for you. That leads me into my next point. Gray takes courage. It takes courage. First of all, it takes courage especially in the initial 6 months when it doesn't look so great and you're not really happy with the way it looks. It takes courage then, because you're having to resist the urge to run to the salon and fix it because you've got these crazy roots, or it just is so different, and it's so kind of dramatically different than what you've looked at in the mirror for the last however many years. And you have to just kind of push through it. Another reason it takes courage is because it's you're making a bold statement. One of the things that I learned when I was researching this story is how much a lot of women said going gray changed them. It forced them to become more confident. It forced them to push through. It forced them to, it's kind of a countercultural still move to decide to go gray, especially if you're deciding to go gray like at 50. Or 55, or, an age that's a little bit earlier. If you're 65 or 70, people are probably not going to say anything to you if you embrace your gray. But if you do it earlier, and your hair is silver and your face still looks, more youthful, that's kind of a bold move. It takes courage, and you're probably going to get some unwelcome or unsolicited feedback. Let's face it, people always have opinions, and you will get comments, unfortunately, whether you like it or not. Some of them are going to be really positive, and you're probably going to have people approach you and say, "Oh my goodness, your hair looks amazing. How'd you do it? Tell me about the process." And then you're going to have people who are going to say, why don't you just color your hair? Really, why don't you just color your hair? So you're going to get all sorts of feedback, positive and negative. So you just got to be okay with that. I wish I could tell people to be nice and to mind their own business, but I can't. So sometimes people are going to have their opinions on your hair. And so take it or leave it. But just know that being gray or going gray, especially a little bit earlier, takes a little bit of courage. Finally, gray changes everything. This is the reason I made this video. If I had only said this, I would have thought this was enough for the video, because gray changes everything. And by everything, I mean everything. So not only does it change your hair texture, how you care for your hair, how you style your hair products, all the products that you've used in the past, chances are you're going to have to switch them all up. And again, if you look in the description box below, I've got a lot of gray hair products. Your hair's going to be a different texture. It's going to be frizzier. It's going to be coarser. You're going to need to hydrate it really, really well. You're probably going to need, again, to switch to a purple shampoo or a special silver shampoo that's going to help you maintain that beautiful silver color. You're going to need to style it differently. One of the things that I definitely recommend if you've decided to go gray, is to get a really cool and really contemporary cut. The women who go gray successfully and look amazing in gray hair, and I'm going to share links to some of them below, but style at a certain age, her hair, Beth Djali, I hope I'm saying it right, her hair looks incredible. That's because she's got a really contemporary, really cool cut. So if you're going to go gray, you want a really cool haircut. Otherwise, it's not going to look like the Instagram gray hair. It's going to look kind of matronly, right? So make sure that your haircut is cool. That's one thing that's going to change when your hair goes gray. Another thing that's going to change is your makeup and clothing colors. The colors that you wear are just going to be dramatically different, especially if you've gone from having red or warm colored hair to having silver hair. Silver is cool. White hair and silver hair is cool. So in the color system that I use, if you have silver hair, you are a cool color code in the hair system that I use, or the coloring system that I use. So that means that you're going to transition all of your makeup colors, your accessory colors, and your clothing colors to be cool. So if you were a redhead and you were wearing warm colors all your life, you're going to find that those make you look washed out, make you look drab, and you're going to want to transition to cooler, icier colors, silver, metal, in your accessories, blues, purples, pinks, whites, grays. If you've got white gray hair, not silvery gray hair, but white gray hair, you're going to find that lighter colors are going to light you up more. So icier pastels, whites, pale grays. So it's really like you're going to have to look at everything with a fresh set of eyes. Your makeup, your accessories, your jewelry, your color palette for your wardrobe, everything is going to change. Gray changes everything. And it's pretty dramatic. So if you've always wanted to wear those cool colors and haven't been able to because you've had warm coloring, this is your chance. You're going to get to embrace all the cool shades of the rainbow. So I hope that this was helpful and that I kind of helped you walk and talk you through the process of deciding whether this is a good time for you to go gray, or if it's ever a good time for you to go gray. Some women are going to color their hair for the rest of their lives, and that's their choice. I'm probably going to be one of those women. But some women are going to embrace the gray and are going to rock it and are going to look beautiful and are going to take notes on the process and give the rest of us inspiration to transition to gray if and when we decide to do that. So it's a personal decision, and I just want you to know I'm encouraging you and cheering you on every step of the way, whatever you decide. Let me know in the comments what you think about this video, whether you want to see more videos about gray hair, whether you want me to do a product review, whether you want more guidance, whether you want me to talk to a stylist, any of that stuff on how I can help support you through the process of deciding whether or not to color your hair, or when you've decided to get it there successfully. Like I said, I love hearing from you. It means so much to me. All of my best ideas come from you guys, all of them. So don't forget, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and the notification bell. I upload new videos every Tuesday and every Friday. Looking forward to seeing you in my next video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.